You're not like other carbon-based life forms. You put the value of all life above your own.
It's how things should be. It's how they could be.
I could not agree more. The world can be one together. Cosmos without hatred. Stars like diamonds in your eyes. The ground can be space, 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 space. With feet marching towards a peaceful sky. All the moon men want things their way, but we make sure they see the sun. Goodbye, moon man. You say goodbye, moon man. Goodbye.
So welcome, Raymond.
Thank you.
Hey, Raymond.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having yourself back into our league.
My pleasure.
Cosmos without hatred, diamond stars of cosmic light, quasars shine through endless night.
My pleasure.
Let's start by diving into Patrick Corbin. Cy Young? Yes or no?
Yeah. Dark horse Cy Young candidate. Odds right now are 50,000 to 1. I think I'm going to take them. I've had good luck this year already with my bets, so I like this Patrick Corbin bet. I'm going to keep momentum here, I hope.
I was texting with Raymond the other day, Kyle, because I remember we were like laughing at Patrick Corbin when we saw he was someone Raymond wanted, but then I looked at like Patrick Corbin's not like he wasn't quantifiably different actually than like Kyle Gibson or like Dean Kramer.
Really?
He was kind of just like the same tier of like streamable starter.
Maybe I need to fact check myself. I thought he was really bad, actually.
No, he's really
like
bad.
under 5.
True.
The thing is, last time I played in an NL league, he was good. It turned out he was really bad these past couple of years.
Whatever it was, he was nice.
Also,
Yeah.
Ray, what did you know that we didn't? Were you on Trevor Bauer's legal team or something? You had like all of his hidden videos and whatnot? Because I think you added him to your list too.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I was going through the list and I just like added any big name
Yeah.
that I came across, like on the off chance that he did come back and was able to recapture form. But
Do you guys think he's going to?
I mean, I'm not
I
trying
hope
to
not.
I'm not trying to like make any normative statement whether he should or should not come back. But did you see the updates that came out over the past couple of days?
I watched his video, yeah. I also read a bunch of like the court stuff though, and there are still at least 2, and it looks like probably 3 other semi-credible things.
Really?
Minimum. Yeah, because
So
I saw one person debunk it and say that the other 3 all piled on after the first one came out, so they may not be legitimately like all that reputable. So at least 2 of them like were basically established before the first one was like in any way finalized anyway. So I think there are just like a bunch of cases. I don't think he's going back personally.
So is the reasonable conclusion probably that at the very least it's muddier than he says it is, and it's also probably muddier than the primary, lady does.
I think that's probably absolutely right. Yeah, it seems like obviously the things he's sharing that he wasn't allowed to share for the last 2 years, that woman seems like she's at least mostly compromised.
Yeah,
he's probably a shitty guy too, but also I don't know.
Yeah,
I think either way he's probably not coming back. Is all.
I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying like it.
Yeah,
I'm
not trying to kill him because he was right about this one. It seems like.
Yeah, I'm just saying like it seems not cut and dry. Whereas if you asked me like a month ago, I would be like, yeah, like pretty cut and dry.
Well, that's why I looked into it, because at first I literally was like, oh wait, if these are always like pile on ones, and the main one is like not real, maybe he does come back.
But anyway, the baseball stuff is more fun than the non-baseball stuff. So I didn't mean to bring that up, but
yeah, no, it's just a speculative.
But I know you did put him on your list, Ray. So if he does come back, I think you have the ability to pick him up cheap.
Nice. Yeah, probably be somebody I add, even though if he does come back, even though he hasn't pitched in the bigs in like 3 years now.
Have you looked at all, Raymond, at like ADP stuff or like early mocks for next year in mixed leagues?
No, not yet.
Yeah. I looked at like a couple of them just in the last like hour, just before we got on here. So I figured that'd be something people who like didn't finish at the top might want to talk about. Might be fun to talk about like values. And like, I don't know. We talked a little bit about it last week or 2 weeks ago when I was with Kyle, but like, I feel like after the top like 10 to 15 hitters, and we're not even factoring keeper values, there's so much like up in the air. I don't know, like the third round, like after like the top 30 players, including like top aces and I don't know, a round and a half of hitters, just all feel like meshed to me. Like I saw one where Alex Bregman was like the 30th overall pick. I saw one where Alex Bregman was like the 70th overall pick, and I was like, is he good? Like I don't.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like where do you take Brandon hurt right now? Where do you take like a bunch of these guys who are in the middle?
Yeah, I'm thinking right now out loud. Like, would I rather have Adolis Garcia or Bregman? I guess the answer would be Garcia. Like, I haven't put much thought into valuations, but I just bring those two names up because they're both in the playoffs. You know, I saw a Garcia at bat earlier.
I think I'm with you at least.
I would say Garcia by a good bit.
Yeah. Because Bregman hasn't been good since he put together that 2019 year, right? Where he hit like 45 home runs.
I mean,
he had that one like ridiculous outlier 40 bomb year, but then he also was like, he's just kind of like a compiler too. Like, I feel like he doesn't do it in like a sexy way. Adolis is way more fun because Adolis hits like a little more power and like steals some bases.
Yeah, exactly. And he's also like an RBI machine and has been for the past couple of years now.
Yeah, it's funny because like Houston's obviously an amazing lineup, but Texas is definitely, I think, better.
Yeah.
That's egg on our face, Kyle. We've gone back on that one a couple times. Like back in like April, me and Kyle were like, we like Matt Chapman more than Alex Bregman. And then Matt Chapman proceeded to hit like 200 the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had a hot start, so.
And it looked sustainable, dude. It looked like, and he's had good exit velocity in the past.
Yeah.
I don't like fault us too much for buying into it, other than just like we should have maybe sucked our priors a little bit harder.
Well, yeah, and we were really down on Juan Soto too. That was another one where it's like, yeah, Soto ended up basically being Soto.
Yeah,
we were right about that.
Interesting take.
We took similarly though with Dom on that same podcast. I watched part of it back a couple days ago. We took a Mountcastle over Jose Abreu. That was smart.
That was
not trendy back in early April, 2 or 3 weeks in.
I think we made a lot of smart decisions. I mean, I think you know, Ray, I'm sure you know this, but Nick won the league, so I think in order to win, you have to make some smart decisions. So you clearly made the smartest decisions.
Yeah.
Well, and Kyle danced between like a point out and like 4 points out for the final like month of the season, dude. It was really a 3-team race for the final three. That was legitimately Raymond played in it for like 11 years. Griffin's been in it for most of the years. That was like the closest. The fact that Marcell Ozuna's game, ninth inning second home run, pumped to burning up a point. I was like, if Eddie Rosario hits again and goes 0 for 1, I might lose a point. We might be tied. Like,
dude, that's incredible. That's congratulations again, Nick, and congratulations on the strong finish, Kyle. But yeah, that's incredible. I can't recall a year in the history of this league that it's been that close.
The COVID year was pretty close with you and Griffin, right? I remember that year. That was so.
I was gonna bring that up.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, the year that I won, and then the day after Raymond won. What's up, Ray?
The year you won, and then Raymond won the next day.
Yeah.
What happened with that again? I don't even remember. I remember I was in like second or third, then I went to like fourth. And I was like, what happened?
What do they call that day? The day the music died? How does it go?
That's what it felt like. But yeah, because there were teams that didn't meet the innings requirement.
Oh, that is what it is, the minimums, right?
But they dropped to 0, and they were between us. And that kicked it.
And I think I picked up Max Scherzer on the last day. For some reason, he was on free agency. I don't recall why. I think because people were already making moves for next year. And I picked up Scherzer, and I got his start, and he just pushed me over the limit. That was a close year. Yeah. I think we got to recount those stats.
Well, I'm praying they don't recount shit this year, because I really do think if like I lose a hit or two, or if Kyle and or Zach Straley get a hit or two, I could drop 1 or 2 points of batting average. I think I am literally 0.0025 or something like that ahead of Kyle and like 0.0029 ahead of Zach in batting average.
That's wild.
Yeah. Well, and then Brendan and I, we were neck and neck on homers. So he finished with one more.
I know
homer
he
than
was doing
I
the
did.
home runs on the last day. I was like, no.
Yep. And we were talking about this before you hopped on, Griffin, but like same with you and Zach. Like if you look at category by category, you or Zach also had very realistic chances of winning outright.
What?
No, like, no, seriously, like, yeah, like it wasn't that far.
Just Griffin's response.
I know that.
What?
Because it felt like I was pretty far behind. So
Not really. I don't think so.
because
Never say
I don't
never.
know. Yeah, I feel like there
Yeah.
wasn't that many categories I could have caught up, but maybe I should have kept paying attention for the last week.
Well, I was saying to Kyle before you and Raymond got on, Griff, that like I think it was Wednesday or Thursday of last week. I find a little bit of distance, but then when Brendan got all those he did an amazing job. I messaged him about it on Saturday. I was like, dude, he had like 9 starters, and they all had like decent matchups too, all to go the same day. And I was only ahead of him by like 35 strikeouts and like I think 3 or 4 wins. I was like, dude, he might take both those categories from me. Shit.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I think
He
it
was
was
playing the
what, like,
long game the
2
whole time.
wins?
And he built himself up perfectly to do it too, because remember we said a couple weeks ago, Kyle, I was like, you might catch him in ERA. You only lost ERA to him by like 0.04. It ended up being really close because he streamed all those guys at the end. He gave himself the perfect amount of space to do it.
Yeah, that was close. That's crazy.
He gave himself a great setup to do that.
Yeah, some of the categories kind of make me regret that last month of a scramble that we all started in terms of streaming some of the relief
The
guys.
waivers are hilarious for the final like 3 weeks. It's just like 9 relievers a day going to mostly you and Brendan. And like periodically I get a couple too.
But the way it crumbled out, like I'm not so confident that the standings would be the same if I had just held, because average then would have been a little bit even. Like I sacrificed average. I'm sorry. ERA would have been more even. Like who knows if I would have caught Brennan or not if I just kept my, my stud relievers. I don't know, but yeah, I mean it was so damn close. That's what was really so cool.
Yeah, I hope every year is like that. Just because it was literally the final inning of the final game. I was like, please don't let stupid Eddie Rosario hit again. What's going on, Roman?
Roman.
Hey, what's good, fellas? You hear me?
What's up, what's up?
We can, man.
Oh, Ray's on here, huh?
He's on here talking Patrick Corbin.
Hey,
Okay,
Raymond.
I
Got
thought-
Mark here too.
Hey, look at that.
And there's Julio Tehran's fan club.
Oh,
No, got Griffin and got Kyle as well.
oh, Griffin, number 3rd place, and Kyle number 4th, right? We only recognize the physical freaks.
Well, yeah. So what happened was, I think Kyle cheated.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Some juicing going on.
The two of you over the year, like from Kyle just like being all over Griffin's team to then the iconic wrestling promo that started your guys falling out to then the heartfelt apology, and just in the last 10 minutes, Kyle explained to Griffin that Griffin basically won outright.
Right.
Nice. Congratulations, Griffin.
Thank you. I told you guys how me playing nice was like a ploy for karma, right? And
It worked, kind of. I mean, you had a pretty good final month. Roman had,
What?
I looked at all those stats, Roman, by the way. Sorry, Griff, but Roman had a really good final month with all those non-counting stat things, like the average and shit.
Yeah,
I've never
let's
looked
bring
like
that
that.
up. You can sort the standings by like last 30 days, last 14 days, last 60 days, and in the hitting categories, I was number 2, and I had like 100 less at bats than everybody else. So
you almost
just,
got Stan. You almost got 13th.
yeah, well, overall it doesn't matter. We're looking at the past month and how we're finishing strong and heading into the new year. I'm pretty sure Ray's going to finish last next year, so I won't be last.
Well, sorry, Mark was talking in the background, talking trash. What was that, Roman?
There's trash talk on here, too.
I was saying you're going to finish last because you're coming in with nobody.
I might. We'll see. Never finished last before, so let's see.
Well, it's not just Ray over there; it's Rachel Ray. What are you cooking, buddy? You got,
Look
I
at
got
him
some
dumb
pasta.
next year.
Boys,
Look at a
What's up,
Brad.
Brad?
how's it going?
What's up, dude?
What's up, Brad?
Hi, Brad. Like your hat.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, Griff.
I'm just glad I caught you in saves, Brad.
Right at the end.
Did you finally?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all I wanted.
I was looking at the end. I was like, is there anything going on anymore? I was like, oh, no, Griff can catch me in saves and see what happens.
That one like a month ago where Griffin was like, Brad just keeps fucking picking up closers. Any of them, but like,
It was
Yeah.
my last ditch effort to get some points. It worked pretty well. I'll give myself credit for that one.
you kind of built back up there, Brad, because you were in like
I was
12th
in
or
dead last for a
like
long time.
May or June, yeah.
Yeah.
You finished what, like 6th or 7th?
Yeah, well, it helped when like Julio Rodriguez remembered he could play baseball. That was a real key turning point for my team. Very important for
He'd be
that.
a second overall pick next year, probably if it was like we were
Yeah.
drafting a redraft. I think I had decided I would take him second.
Matt
Wow.
Olson having also like what 139 RBIs helps a ton.
Yeah, Matt Olson's a
Brad, what do you have Julio at? What cost?
18 this year, so he'll still be what 23?
23.
Yeah, 23 next year.
Yeah. So, Brad, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but
getting kind of pricey.
Ray kind of selected a list of players that he may consider
did see.
keeping. So, just wanted to let you know he is keeping Patrick Corbin, and
And
so
Julio's on that list too.
yeah. So if you want to
Yeah.
do a 1-for-1 with
No, good swap there.
with Rodriguez,
Kyle, you beat me to the punch. Because Corbin's $1.
exactly.
Really
That's
good
a
keeper
steal.
value. Pitchers these days pitch until they're 40. Corbin's only 35. You can get 5 stud years.
You've probably already seen the best of Julio. Patrick Corbin has another level left.
Yeah,
He
Ray.
could
I mean,
refine the slider. Who knows?
I don't really remember. You know, I came to this league pretty late, so I don't really remember playing with you in this league. So I don't know if your trade offers are anything like football, but I think the Patrick Corbin bit might not be too far from reality.
Oh my god! If I
Yeah.
recall, Ray you were a pretty big trader when you were in the league. You made a lot of moves. do
Yeah,
recall
I was
doing
active,
construct-
for
Yeah, you were
sure.
pretty active when it came to trades.
That's where Tradement came from.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime he hits me up, we end up trading. So
Yeah.
Yeah. We just think of the
You
most preposterous trades.
wouldn't
Like
be this
Ohtani.
kind of
Honestly, it's
deal.
poetic though because of Charlie, and Charlie hates the trading. Charlie made multiple times when he was on here with me and Kyle that one time to be like, "There's too much trading in this league."
And then he goes on to tear right after that, pulling off like 2 or 3 deals.
Yeah, exactly.
They got all
He traded the
ridiculous
most.
moves.
Yeah, he was up there for sure. Nick, we did
Classic
trade
misdirection.
Josh Donaldson and Joey Votto this year. I'm pretty disappointed in us.
It might have been our last year to trade those guys too. Did you guys
Yeah.
read Joey Votto's like a letter he wrote?
Oh no, not a letter.
Oh.
He wrote, or I guess not maybe a letter. It was like just like a farewell note thing. Though it wasn't Medium, but it was one of those things where like the Players Tribune,
Yeah.
just like a farewell thing. I don't think he's coming back. I love Joey Votto. That dude's awesome. I'm gonna miss him and like Zach Greinke.
Yeah, we're losing weirdos. We need more. Spencer Strider might be our new weirdo though.
Spencer Strider's commitment to like the dry bit
Yeah.
of there should be no fans here was hilarious.
He just kept doubling down on it too. Just
Yeah.
really respected it.
Griffin, how did you make, by the way, since Kyle's sharing your screen, how did you make the you were the league champion thing?
No, like I literally logged in and it said that.
Mine also said
Said,
that
like-
when I logged into.
Oh,
said
well, then
Team
Kyle was
Bucher.
right. You did almost win outright.
Well, no,
I
it said
missed
Team
mine. It
Bucher
didn't
right
say
above
that.
it.
No.
Yeah, it says yeah, it's a
Here,
little
I'll send the real
disappointing.
one.
No, keep
Oh
that one.
wait, if you just go to home, Kyle,
Yeah,
if you click home, we can all celebrate Nick.
I don't know
Well,
why.
no, I expedited the league to add Raymond. I already moved us to 2024. My celebration's over. There's no more.
no more happiness, no more fun.
Yeah.
There we go.
Have you tried clicking it?
We'll see how it goes. So while we're waiting, oh, there we go.
Oh,
Oh,
I wanted to
Congrats,
bring up
Nick!
the.
Wow.
Wow.
It does say that. Okay, cool. Well, it says pending finalization, and it's not final yet. So again, let's hope there's no hit changes. That's gonna be pretty funny if like there is one or two, and like me and Brendan tie and have to like share it.
They give him a win for
There's
like
no tiebreaker.
It's moves. I win.
I do have a hard out at 9 o'clock tonight, so I gotta dip then.
That's okay, Brad. No, I was gonna say though, I wanted to preemptively. We don't have to even make a list of the things we want to vote on, but I know we want to talk about things like the in-season salary cap, maybe changing the starts limit or getting rid of it entirely. I know we've had other ones too. I have a short list somewhere. It's not directly in front of me. I apologize, it's not in front of me. But like for winter meetings, we wanted like a Zoom. I'll be back in Maryland. I know we don't all live in the same area of Maryland, but like we think that's a Zoom thing. We thinking that's like a thing we want to try to get together in person for.
I think it's
together.
I think it's a Union Jacks thing.
I like
That's
that.
a Jack's thing with Michigan, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good
I
move.
love
I
that
think if it's
idea.
a Zoom, we're going to be all talking over each other. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to talk over.
Yeah, I was gonna say
somebody
the same
in
thing.
person.
True. Call ahead, get a big table and just take it over. The last one we did was in person too, I think, or at least one of the most recent ones, like pre-COVID, maybe even.
Well, don't let anyone ever tell you I don't have committed to this league. 'Cause I'm moving it back across the country to make sure I can be there for the person thing to make sure we can change the rules the way you guys like them. But also, what are the ones? There's at least one more, right? We definitely wanted to revisit in-season salary cap. I think that's pretty popular to get rid of that. Or
Wasn't there like the thing that
The
was screwing
roster
up our
limitations.
yeah, the roster limitation that
yeah,
screwed
that's
up
another-
transactions. Like
Yeah.
we need to add something.
Like
I don't remember how.
no more than 3 reserve players. I
Yeah.
think we should just keep it a limit of like whatever. What is it, 25, right? And so it doesn't matter if you put all your team in reserve or not. Like as long as you don't exceed 25 players.
Yep, that was the other, and that's one that we honestly, I mean, we'll vote because we should vote on anything, but we shouldn't even have to honestly vote on that.
Yeah, that's just kind of fixing fan tracks back to the ESPN.
I'm like 95% sure I probably
Setting.
mucked it up somehow, moving us over here, just trying to make sure it was customizable.
Yeah.
Because you're right,
Oh,
ESPN doesn't make you like have a limit on how many bench players you can have.
I think there's another one. I wanted to talk about the September keepers. You know, where like
Oh
maybe
yeah, Griffin has a good
have
one.
keepers throughout all of September, so that way, because I know I was like semi in it and I kind of gave up. So I know teams that were way out of it probably were the same way. So maybe let them fight for something.
Sorry, Griffin, could you
Yeah,
elaborate?
repeat that.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
that.
so you know, right now you have to all your keepable players have to be picked up by September 1st. So I was saying we could talk about maybe just getting rid of that so that teams that are out of it have a reason to play in September.
It's not a bad idea. Just like make it end of regular season and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, depending on like what the teams that are out of it want to do, I
Fair.
think. Because I don't know, like at that point, do you want to move on to football if you're out of it, or do you want to be checking every day, like, hey, did someone drop someone I might keep? So
Okay.
can we? So if somebody was
interesting.
like on a roster after September 1st and then they were dropped on the 15th, and I picked them up, can I keep them? Or because they weren't on my roster as of September 1st, I can't keep them? Because I picked up
As it
Zach
currently
Wheeler.
stands, you could not keep them. They'd have to be on
Yeah.
your roster by September 1st.
Oh,
That
But
and I
trade
think
was-
we really implemented this to stop lopsided off-season trades, more or less. Right?
We
Like,
did.
that
We
was kind of the
implemented
goal.
it too. We had more people falling off year to year just because you had risk
Yeah.
of people trading a bunch of players away and then leaving the league.
oh,
A couple weeks per season.
that reminds me of another thing I want to. The getting rid of the trade deadline entirely was something I had talked about. Because I feel like in a keeper roto league, the further along you go in the season, the less a trade matters. So I just don't think that having a trade deadline is really necessary, but also I'm addicted to trading, so I think that's one of the reasons I want it.
I don't hate that though either. I mean, it's one of those things it is a long-term league at this point, and we've kind of stabilized really over the past like 2 years with teams, more or less.
Yeah, now
we
one's
kind-
interesting because I feel like how many trades are you making where the guys aren't probably people you might want to keep anyway? Because right now you
Yeah.
can make trades even today. You just have to keep the players involved.
Yeah. Well, because
I
like,
kind of like the
trading which
wrinkles.
streamer is my question on like September 15th.
I mean, like when you drop Brandon Nemo, like I probably would have traded for him, for example. So just to have a little more flexibility, and that way I can always message, you, Ray, and everyone just randomly like, hey, you want to trade Acuna for Jake McCarthy?
God damn it, Griff.
Well, Trey Turner and Jake McCarthy are the same player, basically, right?
I mean, if you squint, take off
If you
your glasses.
split Acuna in half, then yeah.
I kind of like the
I like
trade
that one
deadline.
a
There
little
was
more too, personally, Griff, just because I feel like it wouldn't. Again, I don't think it changes a ton, and I feel like there wouldn't be that many more trades anyway. But it would give people like one less like kind of limitation on the way they can make moves. It would also open up almost like a way to trade for Fab. Although I don't know if I because I feel like I don't think people are going to collude, but like if I'm out of Fab and you have a bunch of Fab, I could say I'll trade you Nimmo if you bid on the best streamer for tomorrow on the last day of the season for me and blow all your Fab on it. That's kind of colludy, isn't it? I feel like that's sort of like inviting that.
I mean, is that an issue? I don't know if that is a bad thing.
I feel like it's not bad. Like, what if I really want Moncada and I say, hey, if you're able to get Moncada, I would give you Jake McCarthy. And you are able to secure Moncada, and then I send you Jake McCarthy. I don't think that's dishonest, really.
I don't think so.
No, I'm not trying to say that it necessarily would be that. I'm thinking out loud. I think you're probably right.
I think it's
it is definitely a wrinkle that should be considered.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the trying to think of the ways we exploit it, basically, and if I think they would be ways that I would have an issue with. I don't really think I would have an issue with that. Nah.
It's like an MLB team trading a player for cash.
Okay.
I wonder if we actually can turn Fab trading on. I don't know if that's something you want to even.
That's true.
If we could, I would like that on personally. That's something I would vote for. I think you should be able to trade Fab. I think you definitely couldn't on ESPN. I bet you could on this though. We pay for premium service. I haven't looked before on this that I can remember off the top of my head. I bet you we can. But that's what I would like. I think the more customized. I think it's something Kyle says a lot. I generally agree that the fewer
get out ball,
the better.
Oh,
D-backs are up now. What a bomb by Moreno.
Oh yeah, I have it up in front of me too. Hell yeah, Gaby Moreno.
Been a damn good day of games too. All the games have been pretty fun.
Royce Lewis came off the IL for hit a couple dingers there.
Yeah.
Royce Lewis.
His like insanity of hitting all those grand slams in that short period of time was wild. I've never seen anything like that.
He has more grand slams than like half of the baseball team. So.
It was more grand slams than like a couple Hall of Famers, which was like wild. Yeah.
Go to Commissioner, Kyle, on that tab.
I was trying to highlight the budget remaining for every team since we were talking about that.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know how to find that. The point I was going to try to bring up is, like I am in favor of, including Fab. I think that's cool. But go ahead and trade for this thing that I think most of the league probably hasn't used.
I mean, do we adjust the budget of the Fab from $1,000 to less?
No.
But then
I think it's
that
good.
would, well, no, so then in that case, it feels like the Fab's worth a little bit more in a trade value, right? Like you still get $5 players with 1,000, but then it becomes more of a trade asset if you drop it. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have, but it doesn't have to drop it to like 200. You could drop it to like 750 or something, right? So it's just a little more scarce, so it's a little more valuable in a trade.
I think people just zero bid more often. I don't know.
That's fair.
Remove the zero bid too to make the Fab more valuable.
There you go.
I hate that idea. That's all.
Me too. I'm Team Kyle.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually don't hate
Fuck
it.
you guys then. Yeah.
I'm surprised you guys hate it so much.
Yeah.
I prefer to have the zeros too, because obviously I put zeros in.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to have $0 bids. I think it just makes you be more strategic.
Well, what if no one bids for the player and you still want him?
But it just means you have to be more proactive about like you have to prioritize like the 4th and 5th starters and like the middle relievers. And you can't the way you and I and Brendan did the final month. We can't game it quite as easily. I don't necessarily want it either. I'm just saying it changes the way you have to strategize is all.
I'm just wondering about like the lower. I'm gonna look at some of the lower half teams had for like their remaining budget of people that should be bidding a lot for.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
They
don't
can take it with them.
I don't know how to look that up
Wait.
in this view.
You just kind of gotta like open multiple tabs for each team and scroll down. There's no good way to do it, but I mean, so starting at myself being dead center at 7, I had 300 something remaining, but people use more fab than I thought. It was, I think
Good.
the most left was Jari at 800 something, but everybody else had, the next was lowest was me, or highest was me at 300. Everybody else was down in the 1s and the 2s, so I guess that doesn't matter as much as I thought. I guess we're better at doing that now.
I think we also kind of blew our wads at the end. Like I had
That's true. You guys probably blew a
I
lot.
had 250 or 300, I think, going into September, and I just started making sure I got the streamers I wanted.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I guess there's strategy both ways, right?
So that reminds me of something else that a rule I kind of like, but is we can do eBay style bids. So like if I bid $100 on someone and you bid $10, I'd get them for $10. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
Does Fantrax definitely allow that? Is the only question I have.
Yeah,
I dislike that.
That seems
Raymond
weird.
says no.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think
Yeah.
part of the
I
part of the
don't
fun of
think
fab
this
is figuring out the right amount, right? Like how many times I went in and changed my amount by like $5 or $10 was a lot because I was worried I would miss out by $1 or $2.
It just
Like,
changes the game theory.
If you know somebody's going to be a hot pickup, then you can just bid $1,000, and you're guaranteed to
Yeah.
get him at whatever the unless multiple people bid $1,000 too, then one of them's screwed, I guess. But
Also, we have about 55 seconds, and one of us will send a new Zoom, by the way, guys. Just heads up.
I won't be jumping back on. I got to do bath time.
Oh, have fun, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Roman, nice year one. You have a good team.
Yeah.
So looking forward to next year.
Yeah, you said that in the beginning. I finished dead last.
Hey, it's good to just have someone
I'm
that
not listening
cares
to you
and wants
guys.
to play.
We'll see.
You got a big heart.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. I'm sure I'm gonna get cut off here, or whatever, but it was a lot of fun. Definitely like following all these prospects and stuff, and kind of keeping track. And I think this podcast, I know I've said it like 7 times already, but the podcast really helped.
Champagne their beers.
Yeah, you're saying the margin of error is bigger with Aaron Judge. I got you.
We're both just saying we want their call to be right, though.
I like the challenge they did in the minor leagues where you like tap the helmet, you have to do the instant no review challenge. I do like that.
So some good news. We have not been recording the past like 15 minutes.
Brad, say baseball's fixed again, or whatever you said a
Baseball's
second ago.
fixed. Nick fixed
Alright, cool.
baseball.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
so
also leading with 5.
It's fine. This is for us anyway. Like, who cares? Oh, also, like, actually, make this the open. All year, Kyle has edited these podcasts. I have no idea how long it takes you, Kyle, but I did like the one you were sick for, and it wasn't like as good as yours, and it also took me like a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour to do probably.
Golf
And
clubs.
it wasn't any good at all. So like, I
thanks.
appreciate you, dude. I love doing this with you. Everybody who comes in here talks about how much they like Raymond's coming
So
back.
fun.
Everybody's coming back to play in this league, and everybody loves this league because of the amazing pod we're doing. And it's like mostly you. So thank you for doing all that shit, dude.
I mean, I told
Well-
you guys this in Arizona, but I'm at a wedding with French's friend, Andrew McKissick, and he told me he's seen episodes of our baseball podcast. So it's hilarious to see that this is other people know
Dom
about this
French's
thing.
former roommate.
It's so dumb, yeah.
is
Dom
tracking
French's
people to this
former
baseball
roommate
game.
knows about our podcast.
Well,
Wonder what they're
I-
gonna say about the trades this week.
Exactly.
He had opinions at the wedding.
He
Well,
liked Jake McCarthy, Griff. He was on the Jake McCarthy bandwagon.
We should let him join. Smart guy.
He's gonna share Raymond's team with Raymond.
it's all fun. So I'm enjoying the pod a lot too. I will say though, I'm prioritizing like winning a little bit more. I've still never won
Boo.
a fantasy league. So Nick, congratulations. We haven't talked to Brendan on the pod yet, but Nick, we were talking
Shut up.
pre-show, and I think we wanted to talk a little bit about Brendan's team because I know we were talking a lot last weekend and the weekend, with the final couple games, and as everyone saw, it was neck and neck. So there were times I definitely thought it was basically over. Then there were some times I thought Brendan maybe had it in the bag. So what a whirlwind.
I thought a month and a half ago Brendan had it pretty comfortably. I think it was like mid-August I got ahead of them, and then I got ahead by a little bit. And then you made it close, and you and Griffin were trading spots, but I don't think we've had a year where it was that close with more than 2 teams, and we've definitely not had a year where in a 162 game roto season, like it really did. We joke all the time about like making all the adds and drops and like the moves and having the most games played. We've said that a lot with the last couple pods, but like it's by like the skin of the teeth, man. Because Brendan, if I had a slightly worse batting average, by like 3 or 4 hits, would have beat me in batting average. And if I had not gone as far as I did to get like batting average, he would have probably beaten me in runs and RBIs because his OPS was better and his average was better. He had better hitters overall. I just had more hits because I had more plate appearances. So similarly, in the last like inning of the season, he took home runs from you. If you had taken like 2 points in batting average and kept home runs from him, and of course he does it too. He got those last 2 home runs from Marcelo Ozuna, who was like a free agent for the first like month of the season. Brendan, I have so much respect for in this league just because like Brendan has played the entirety of the time. I think it's like 15 years or 13 or 14 years now. We just finished, I think 13 or 14. And like we've said before, I think on this, he's got probably the best keepers.
Yep.
He just won last year. I objectively think like I love my team. I'm glad I won. I hope it holds with no stat corrections, but like I think his team this year was as good or better than my team. And I just kind of got lucky a little bit.
I mean, he made the run, what, 2 or 3 years ago where he just traded for all these keepers because he was at the bottom of the barrel. And it shows what fun having this long-term dynasty type league is. But he was just like, I'm going to flip everybody, get a bunch of keepers and hope for the best and see what happens. It's pretty sweet to see that actually turn around and come to fruition.
The feeling though of looking, I was at a wedding on Saturday night, and the feeling of looking and seeing, I guess Saturday during the day before it, that he had 9 goddamn starters all ready to roll out there. And I was only ahead of him by like 35 strikeouts, like 3 or 4 wins. And most of them had pretty good matchups too. And I had like 2 stars a day. I was like, dude, he's going to take Ks for me. He's going to probably get wins just out of like sheer volume here. And he was so good all year at building up that safety and ERA. The same way I just held on to average over Kyle and Zach. He held the ERA over Kyle by like 0.03 or 0.04. It's such a game of margins. I love how tightly he played it. He did a perfect job. He got a little bit unlucky that some of those shoes didn't work out because I thought at that point he was going to take it. So he couldn't join us today, but Brennan, like, good job, dude. Yeah. I'm glad Kyle said that too because, dude, your team was sick. Congrats on last year. You're probably going to win again next year. I'm glad there's no immediate Brendan dynasty right now because your team is just fucking loaded, man. Good job.
I got to roll, boys. Have a good time. Great time this year in the league. Love it. Can't wait to see you guys for our winter meetings.
Oh yeah, next year's the
and hopefully before that too.
Nope.
Thanks for joining, Brad. Yeah.
Next year will be my year until the All-Star break, and then I'll collapse like I tend to do every year.
Deal.
I'll trade you Jake McCarthy next year.
We can make that happen. Adios, y'all.
Right,
see ya. So I'm having issues sharing the screen for some reason, but
I can share what you want.
Well, one piece of strategy I wanted to compliment Brendan on. We have talked about this before, but I think it is probably confusing to some folks. Brandon did exceed intentionally. He did exceed the game started limit of 200. So he actually got credit for 206 starts in the season. And he did so by starting 6 extra players, or I guess, 6 extra players, right?
We had 199 and he made 7 starts.
Yeah, 7
starts. Or 198. I think he made 8 actually. I think it was 198 and 8.
Right, but he did that on the second to last day. So then come October 1st, none of his pitching stats were recognized for his totals. So I mean, whatever. Like, it did serve Brendan well. Like it was the right decision. I'm just trying to call it out that you can do that if you want to put effort into timing. More than just a few starts. If you want to have 4, 5, 6, 7 starts all on one day, you can do that. Obviously, the ideal is to do it on the last day. But as we saw, a lot of guys, who are going towards the playoffs, they're not going to start on the last day. They're just going to get benched. So I'm a dummy and I don't know real baseball. So I was like, ooh, Aaron Nola, I'm going to save him for, the last day of the season. Nope. Say hello to the bench. And so like, those are some good lessons, but Brendan is obviously much savvier in terms of real baseball, and I think he knew all of this, right? So I just wanted to compliment him there. He intentionally picked up the right guys, loaded up a bunch of extra games started, and it served him well. So I don't think anyone else really timed it quite like he did.
And he did all of it. You're exactly right, Kyle. He did all that, and he also the title final month. I mean, I think when we say it about football a lot, because football I think is kind of coin tossy and a little bit flukier. But season long road of baseball, I mean, there's tons of variance, there's tons of randomness. No one knows exactly what's going to happen. No one knew who would do quite as well or quite as bad. But with the amount of games played and started and days done waivers and stuff, you can't really get lucky in this. And the whole final month, you look at waivers, we were talking about a little bit ago, like he and you were at the well every day making their save hold moves, making their streaming moves. And that's why it's so impressive to me. He did the 7 or 8 stars the last day thing. And they were all good matchups too. Because I feel like I was watching it. I know I was spending way too much time, more than the average person should be spending on that. And he still did it better. Like it was really well done.
Yeah, he always got like the best guys. It was impressive.
Really the moral there is not only is he probably smarter than the rest of everybody, he's also working as hard or harder, which is just awesome. Like that's why like it's cool he won last year, and again I'm glad he didn't win this one because down to the wire with you, buddy. But I love when people who like really bend in it for it like end up getting it too, dude. And he made it really fucking close to the end because he did all the fucking work.
Yeah. So I'll call that out as my big takeaway. In terms of the final stretch. In terms of the season as a whole, I told Nick beforehand. One of the big takeaways is I try to build out my own valuations for each player. And some categories I value more than others. I think I've made the mistake that I kind of ignore average and I use OPS kind of, I value OPS and I conceptually think that, that'll capture average. It kind of double ups. There's a double up there as a category sometimes. But a takeaway this season is I'm not really going to take that approach next year. I'll start valuing average a little more. I think towards the end of the season, we did see that come to play. And I think it's interesting. And we talked about this before, Nick. I kind of wonder if some of the rule changes really made a material impact on average for some players that we were looking out for. Maybe not. But as far as valuing, I want to start putting a little bit more weight into it. Do you guys have any additional takeaways maybe for the final stretch or just something that you found in the season that you thought was interesting?
It's not novel. But I think I agree with you that it's probably better to try to make up ground the way Brendan did than the way you and I did, where Brendan had a decent lead in batting average and OPS, and he had a decent lead in ERA, like the ratio stats, and then you can pick your moments when people are checked out and stream and the better matchups and get your Ks and wins and quality starts and get your home runs and RBIs and runs. Because I've done this in previous years too, just I feel like it ends up being the way I go because I'm worse at planning for it. But I think it's harder to try to catch up in the ratio stats. It's way harder to catch up in ERA. It's way harder to catch up in batting average. If someone's good, like Kyle said, it does kind of capture. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not perfect science, but if someone's hitting for a good batting average, they're probably doing the other stuff too. So you're not gonna be able to get them on waivers because they've already been picked up by a guy who needs home runs. That's sort of what you think too, Griff. What do you think? 'Cause I feel like you do a similar thing to what we're talking about here most years with me in that, where you've streamed a lot certain years, you've streamed less certain years. Ratio stats are harder to make up, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I came into the season just without looking too much at what stats I needed. So that's how I ended up with like way too many stolen bases. So I definitely should not have had G1 Bay in the middle of the season, just racking up more steals for no reason.
Jake McCarthy. But it's hard though because they have value. That's the other part that's tough though.
It is.
Well, I don't know I feel like if I do the math, I feel like if Brendan and I had traded Jake McCarthy very early, he might have beaten you.
He probably would have. He needs a point.
Yeah. So I think Jake McCarthy has value. Just not for me. But
for Brendan, he could have been all the difference. Yeah. It's a and like Kyle said with the batting average thing, I don't know how the lesson really needs to be there either, because I thought you'd see more steals, but I thought you would see a lot of guys steal like 20, 25 bases. I didn't think you're going to see like Acuna steal 73. You know, I mean, I think you saw a bunch of guys.
I feel like a lot of it was in the.
Say it again.
I feel like the middle class did get it raised a lot.
I think they did, but it wasn't necessarily guys that I thought you would see get raised. Is all I'm saying. I don't think it was the guys you would have guessed. Same with the batting average. Like I thought a lot of lefties, like big lefties, generally would get batting average boost, but like Rizzo wasn't special. Kyle Schwarber still hit under 200. Like some did. Like Kyle brought Corey Seager, for example, was not like a very speedy, but like a very good batted ball profile guy, lefty, and obviously he had an amazing year. Some did, and like Acuna predictably did good in stolen bases, but I guess some of it's just there's not as many rule changes going to next year, so I feel like it'll be a bit easier for us to sort of build out and model what we want to get. But like again, I had Acuna. I didn't expect Acuna to do what Acuna did, running wise. And if Acuna's going to steal next year nowhere near 73 bases, right? Probably. When you're that good, you shouldn't be running 73 times. He's probably going to steal what, like 30, 40 next year?
Probably 40.
50.
I just think he's going to run less. I feel like good, like Mookie Betts, for example, could probably steal. Like Mookie Betts is a great example of somebody who I thought would steal a lot this year.
Yeah.
Still like 13 bases. He just didn't want to do it, even though it's easier now.
From 12 to 14.
Yeah.
I feel like he gets annoyed. Like he doesn't want to get hurt. And I feel like sometimes he gets annoyed with what the Dodgers ask of him.
Yeah.
That's probably why he doesn't steal, right? What's that, Griff?
Yeah, it's funny how someone like Mookie didn't get any increase, but Freeman got this gigantic
on the
like,
same team back-to-back
increase. Yeah. And Mookie's way faster than Freddie.
It's just perplexing, right? Like Bo Bichette's somebody I would have thought. I remember saying he's going to steal 40 bases, 50 bases, and he got a little bit slower anyway. He didn't run for shit.
Yeah.
But Bobby Witt was pretty predictable, right? Esteury Ruiz was pretty predictable. Like, so I don't know. I think less rules changing this offseason will make it a little bit easier to guess. But that's a good point too, Griff. I feel like I fall into that too, where I definitely hold guys like I held Max Muncy way too long this year, and it almost cost me batting average at the end because I was up by 1 billion in home runs and up by 1 billion in RBIs, and Max Muncy was just killing me for like all of June and July, hitting 199 or whatever.
It's a tough pill to swallow in a dynasty league with active trading like this, when you should cut Muncy and when you should cut McCarthy. I think those are really underrated moves for a team. Like, because it is tough. Like, a huge part of this game is accumulating value and turning value and pulling value from the waivers and then turning it again and trying to trade it. Right. That's what I have the most fun with. But then on the flip side of that, it is Roto. So you have to kind of keep your eye on whatever the categories look like in total. And you guys are making the perfect examples. And yeah, I mean, I think I made my fair share of mistakes that are similar, but that's not easy, right? Like on paper, you see Muncy cut, right? He shouldn't be cut.
Yeah.
Kind of the context matters. So really interesting.
Well, and as we're talking through this too, I'm bringing up real baseball rule changes. I think there should be fewer if there are any this year. I don't believe any are getting any big ones I can think of are being changed. But like, we should have these winter meetings pretty early, actually. I should probably try to schedule that like kind of ASAP because before we declare any keepers, we should know exactly what the rules are going to be for next year.
Yeah.
For example, if we don't have a salary cap in season next year, we have a much higher one. That makes it much more palatable because I think it was less about Griff couldn't trade McCarthy, or maybe with McCarthy it was different because he was cheap anyway. But for me with Muncy, I tried hard as hell to trade Muncy when I realized he was hurting me because he has value, but nobody can afford a $30 guy who actually costs $30 when we're all near the salary cap if we're contending. So if there's no salary cap next year, maybe you don't have to try as hard to make your guys fit the values they value because you can trade with more people theoretically in that sense. Similarly, like, am I going to keep a Joe Ryan? Am I going to keep a Spencer Strider? I mean, I'm going to keep Strider, I guess, but your starters, if you have those games started them, it's going to change how guys keep their starters. We have to probably bid on all of these like ASAP. I'm just now realizing.
Yeah, I would be disappointed if we materially changed the game started limit because it definitely would have changed my approach mid-season, even in terms of some of the pitchers I tried to get.
I will be voting either against it or for a slight increase, if any. Personally, I agree with you.
Right, but I'm going into next season transparently. Like I'm going in, I'll probably have 4 pitchers. And I may even try to trade away one of those pitchers to start next season. And my expectation is I'll probably be able to pick up some really helpful pitchers, starting pitchers on the waivers for free. So I'll go in knowing that that's my plan. If we significantly increased the game started, it would make pitchers more valuable. And that approach wouldn't be as helpful.
I think it might make pitchers less valuable if we increase games started.
Because then you can stream more.
Because then the streamers can get used, and it would make for an interesting setup because everybody would try to do what you did in like 2018, Griff, where we probably have like 5 teams doing just full on streaming 24/7, and you probably also have like the other 5 or 6 go the other way. But because there'd be less people interested in like the true aces, I think it would actually make pitchers a lot less valuable.
I'm not sure. I understand what you're saying, but let's say there was no, like, let's argue to the extreme. Let's say that there is no limit to games started. Then what would become more important is differentiation, meaning how good Strider is versus Patrick Corbin. Like, the difference would become more important, don't you think?
Well, I think
yeah, you got. I actually disagree.
So take it to the other extreme, and you only have 1 start limit. That would make, way bigger. You really want Spencer Strider, and you really don't want Jose Quintana if you only have 1 start. So I think actually, the lower the start limit, the bigger the difference.
The more scarce it is.
Yeah.
And the more it starts, it's more like, okay, maybe I can stream against the Royals, and try to catch.
You might be right.
That's and you can do what Brendan did on Saturday every day for the whole season and still finish like first or second in Ks, probably wins, probably quality starts just by streaming 7 pitchers a day that you paid $0 for. And you'll have like the second or third best offense because you spent all your money on offense. It probably locks you into not winning. I think it's basically what happened to Griffin in whatever it was, 18 or 17, whatever year that was, because once you got someone with a good pitching stat, it was either me or Raymond that year, got close to you, you couldn't catch us. But you also were like impossible to move outside of like 120 points or whatever you had. It basically locks you into finishing in the money, unless like 5 teams do it, which probably would happen.
So it's kind of funny. This is tangential, but what kind of happened to me this year, where like, how I made all those trades from pitching to hitting, and then in the standings, I felt like, yeah, and a whole bunch of others. Yeah. And then like I did well in the standings for a little bit, and then I feel like my pitching kind of caught up to me. So it's just kind of interesting. Like, I got all this offense, I went way up, and then my pitching finally caught up. So I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, I feel like even if we did get rid of a starts limit entirely, which I would not be in favor of doing, I'll vote against it. I might be okay raising it slightly if we want to do that, just to make it more customizable. But I think you need some kind of a limit, just so it's not gamed the whole season. But like Kyle said, I feel like it does make like a Strider or a Cole or a Luis Castillo like pretty valuable. But I think about like the glob of SPs, the clob of SPs after like the top 25 or 30. Like,
right.
I think about guys like Joe Ryan, who I like a lot, but like I don't like starting him in like a third of his matchups. Like, he's bad sometimes.
Yeah, that's where like I'm not sure. I think it's a little more complicated. Yeah.
Well, so our starts limit right now is you basically have 6.6 pitchers for their whole season.
Yep.
Assuming 30 starts. So what does that leave? 3 relievers and 3 bench spots.
Roughly, yeah.
So I guess it all comes down to what you think semi-ideal roster construction should be. And then I feel like you should kind of work backwards.
ESPN does it to basically simulate like a big league's starting 5 or starting 6, I guess, in fantasy, who make about 32 starts, 33 starts, and then you have 3 closers. Which I kind of agree with you, where you kind of want to work backwards, where I don't know. I wonder, are we trying to fix a problem if we don't have a problem? Like, are we trying to find a problem here?
I think we are.
Yeah, like with this one specifically, I don't actually know. The more I'm thinking about it now, I think there's an issue. I think pitchers, we already kind of said we don't think they're as valuable as they should be, generally, because of the way people are scheming. I don't want people to be able to scheme, but I also don't want people to like not care about pitching at all.
I think the only change I would be in favor of is if we made it exactly 162. I'm against any other change.
Maybe we make a starts minimum.
Well, you already have innings
start
minimum.
150, but you can't start more than 250. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm not saying I want to prohibit for that either. Like, I think right now, like, because you could theoretically go the other way, the Marmol thing from like ESPN like 15 years ago now in this format, where you could just only use 9 relievers every day, make no starts. But if you have all like the Joel Piamses and Yanir Canoes, you can get an ERA of like 2, 5, or 3 as a team. You're shaking your head.
because you have 9 spots accumulating like 70 innings a year from relievers, so you wouldn't get the 1,000 inning minimum.
Oh, I'm forgetting the innings minimum. Okay, my bad. You're right. We already have a way that sort of negates that. Okay, and then in that case, yeah, I think we're sort of looking for a problem here. The more I think about it, with that one, I don't want that one to change.
I agree.
And I think on the margin, unless I feel strongly something should change, I'm more and more thinking now we shouldn't change much unless it feels very broken, like the reserves issue, just because we haven't declared keepers yet, but you did play all year with a roster mindset of this is how it will be next year too, sort of.
I mean, I think there's only 2 things I feel strongly about. One of them is serious and one of them is a joke. But the first is I really think we should get rid of the in-season salary cap rule. I think it's kind of pointless.
I kind of want that one out too. Yeah.
I think it hurts the people that it's trying to help. So I have a lot of examples of that. And then the second one, we're talking a lot about rules. I think in reality, it was just a fun year, and it's a little bit more involved. So now that the season's over, we want to talk more about it, talk about what we want to change. So I agree. I think we're creating some problems. So the one thing that's kind of a joke that was annoying in Fantrax, like maybe 2 months ago, I don't know if you guys experienced this, but there was like maybe a 2-week period where the app was almost unusable. Like
the fucking banner ads.
It would spam with so many ads that would
they kept getting bigger. They wouldn't go away.
So
like click and
yeah. So in my mind, like
it'd be like Hulu Premium. I'm like, I don't need Hulu. Like, get out of here.
In my mind, that's a bigger issue than like pretty much every other rule change. We were talking like it was really annoying. There were a couple of days.
Mind, you're joking, but like we pay for this. We paid like $100 this year, whatever it is. We should definitely like not have to see ads.
I know. So
that break the app.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
There were a couple of days I just gave up. I closed the app. I was like, this is annoying me.
And that's why Brendan made those points up there, because Brendan kept opening the app and watching the ads so he could make moves. He was determined.
Yeah, so one rule change. Every ad that you watch, you should get 1 more fab.
You get 1 fab. But Brad is staying 1,000, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. Don't worry. Unless you watch 1,000 ads. We make it like a freemium league. You can pay $5 a day for 2 extra fab dollars.
I would be in favor of trading fab. I think that would be fun. But a lot of people don't really use it early on anyway.
It just gives someone an extra way to be creative.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I like
it. The skids.
It'd be kind of funny to see somebody like early on, like in like April, if I just trade like a couple good keepers for like $5K in fab, and then I get every prospect that comes up if I'm out of it. Because actually, wait, if you're rebuilding, why wouldn't you just do that? Trade like your veterans in April and get every fab done.
But you could trade them for like keepable players.
Yeah, but what if no one wants to trade your keepable player yet?
Yeah, like my Jake McCarthy. Right.
I feel like people are, because we don't value fab. Fab basically does get you like the next Matt McClain or the next.
Yeah.
We don't think about Matt McClain. We think about like AJ Smith-Shawver, like I got, who was useless basically. But we think about Strider.
I was going to say Taj also. Taj is a great example.
Yeah.
I think Roman got him for like $300, something like that.
I got him for like 300. Yeah, I paid 300-ish.
Nice.
How much fab did Blake Snell cost you, Kyle? That was a league-winning move, basically.
Like 150, right?
I think like 300.
Well, good. You should have had like 3,000 next year. You're gonna get more next year.
Fact check myself, but yeah.
That's my favorite thing. Is whatever that pod was like May or June, where I was like, Blake Snell shouldn't even get picked up, dude. He's so useless. And the motherfucker came out on the side. You were really good with that this year, Kyle. I actually give you some flowers there, dude, because you were the one who picked up Justin Steele too, right? You traded him eventually, I think, but you had Steele too.
I'd Steele most of the season, and then I traded him away.
Until he was bad.
A month and a half, 2 months left, I think. And
Griffin,
yeah,
for that recent run.
Yeah, and Griffin was spot on, $109 for Snell.
He just felt like he was worth more prize while you said 300.
I think at the time I only had like 120. So.
Wow. And then I remember you picked up Barrios. I dropped Barrios like.
Oh yeah, that one too.
And you picked him up.
Yep.
Barrios gave me 2 quality starts in the final month. Whenever you cut him again, he was better. He was kind of a blind spot because I didn't have him at any point in the last couple of years, but he was pretty good this year.
He was really good, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. He's good, man.
Yeah. I also picked up Alec Manoa.
That's
Actually,
the one I remember.
I acquired him in a trade.
And then you traded him to Brad for a closer.
Yep.
Brad and his closers, man. We've only got a couple minutes left, but let's say let's help me finalize you two, since this is commission-y talk right now too. Like maybe between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we try to get together and do like a commissioner meeting or like a league winner meetings thing.
I think that sounds good.
I feel like it definitely needs to be before January, whenever we start saying people are getting capped.
And give a little time for rest, recuperate.
Also, one other commission question. I'm happy to do this, but are you guys interested in changing the setting in the league like in the next few days so that we can just drop players who aren't even eligible for keeping? Just to kind
I was
of
going to do that last night. Last night I was going to do that and it was locked. So
I didn't know it was locked. I didn't even know it does lock. We could definitely you should just change that one, honestly. That shouldn't be a thing that's locked.
Yeah, I can look into how to change it, but
it might have automatically changed even when I rolled the year over to add Raymond.
Yeah.
Like I think the new 2024 version that no longer celebrates this season a day after I won. I think that one will let you drop guys.
Because now that we now that we're in the thick of football season, I know I'm just gonna forget. Like I know all of my players who are eligible to be kept, but I know in like a month I'm gonna have to like look at the transactions to remind myself and whatnot. But if we can just drop them in the next couple of days, it'll make life easy.
Let's just do that one. I don't think we need to vote on that. That's just
And just reiterating for anyone listening, like a guy like Freddie Freeman is kind of expensive. I think there's a good chance I won't keep Freddie Freeman. I'm not going to drop him right now. The only players I'm dropping are players that are completely ineligible to be kept. So just calling that out.
There's September streamers and stuff. Yeah. That's smart, because what Kyle's doing is giving himself the chance to decide later on. If Freddie Freeman comes out and I don't know what situation could become better for him somehow.
Freddie Freeman has sprouted a new arm.
He announces he's going to try to steal 73 bases to match Acuna.
Yeah, what could Freddie Freeman do?
What could he do to make his stock go higher? I don't actually even know.
He's Benjamin Buttoning. Oh no, Griffin, I didn't hear you.
Put him on the Rockies.
He's going to make the transition to catcher. Will Smith's hurt, so he's going to catch part-time. There you go. That's the one. All right, we have like a minute left though, but I love you too.
Since we only have a second, since Kyle got Blake Snell, he has a 1.2 ERA in 135 innings and 186 strikeouts. 1.2 ERA, 23 starts of that. Crazy.
So here's a spoiler. I am going to keep Snell.
Damn it.
Thought I could get him.
Yeah, me too. I now love Blake Snell.
I'll trade him away if someone wants to buy him.
You should. Remember, pitchers aren't that valuable.
Yeah.
I'm going to get cut off mid-thought, but are you guys going to have like people on the off season to like recap their team or pre-cap their team or anything like that?
I think we could do maybe like a short series where we bring like 2 or 3 on it for like an hour and they talk like we did with Dom and Miskman kind of. We haven't talked about it yet, but I like the idea. Maybe like once a month or something. We don't have to do it often.
And it can be like, I'm looking for this and I have this.